Okay, so dividing fractions, they're just like multiplying fractions, except you have to do a little work. So if I take 2/3 divided by 8/5, actually we can get our little yellow book out and probably have some things like that. The big thing you missed on your multiplying fractions was not reducing. Yes. I know you guys know how to do it. How do you do it? You go 2/3 what? Times 5/8. Do you know why you do that? And you can ask your parents. They don't know why when you divide fractions you multiply by the reciprocal. That's the house. Okay, guys? Josh, Keisha, do you know why? Because this means this. 2/3 divided by 8/5. Okay, so that's what this means. This is the divided by sign. It's what they call a complex fraction. Okay, Jake? And I don't like 8/5 there. Do I? Too complicated. Too complicated for me. So what could I multiply 8/5 by to make this equal to 1? I want that to go away. I want it to become 1. 8/5 times what gives you just 1? What does this fraction have to be? Does this work? Will that make that 1? No. Riley, do you know what I have to multiply by? What if I did this 5/8? Would that be equal to 1? Josh, would that be equal to 1? Because that would be 40, and that would be 40. Well, we've got to be fair in math. You've got your friends, you've got to be fair with your friends. And you can't just do something nice for one of your friends because the other ones are going to be jealous. So it's the same thing with fractions. You can't just multiply the denominator by 5/8. You must do exactly the same thing to the numerator. Because what is 5/8 divided by 5/8? It's just 1. That's right. So I'm not changing the value. That's why you multiply by the reciprocal. Now you can ask your parents because they probably don't know. Most people do not know. They know how to multiply fractions and divide fractions. They don't know why it works the way it works. I teach it even in calculus. I reteach dividing fractions. What does it mean? Because when you know what it means, you remember. So if you forget what to do with dividing fractions, you do that. So this is the problem we're going to actually work on. Now, a number of you on your multiplying worksheet just multiplied across, which is fine. That's 10. And then that's 3 times 8 is 24. And then you left your answer. And we want it reduced. Later on this year, I'm not going to care. But right now, because this is what I'm teaching, I do care. And you could, to reduce this, you could divide numerator and denominator by the same number. What number would that be? What goes into 10 and 24? 5 goes into 10, and 5 goes to 24. That'd be 25. That's close. They're both what kind of numbers? Even. So it means they have to be divisible by 2. And I know you don't want to show that work, but I want you to show that work. So 10 divided by 2 is what? 5. And maybe at the end of class we'll play that game. And 24 divided by 2 is 12. Now, I can do it that way. And if I put up my calculator, it'll automatically reduce it for me, but we need to be able to do it on our own. Or I can look over here, and I can reduce before I multiply. I'm allowed to do that. So 2 divides into 2 one time, and 2 goes into 8 how many times? How many times 2 and 8? 4. So multiply the numerator. 1 times 5 is 5, and 3 times 4 is 12. It doesn't matter to me which way you do this. I don't care. But usually it's easier. So if I had a whole bunch of fractions, let me make something up. copy that one down. If you don't have any paper, you can use your yellow packets, or you can just get a piece of paper. It doesn't matter to me. Good morning. So if you don't have any paper, I got paper. That's not an issue. And some of you are going to want to take that and multiply all that numerator out. I don't want to do it. Now, you may use an Inspire. If some of you are thinking of college, on the ACT, you can use an Inspire. You just can't use a CAS, my black ones. But you can use the blue ones. You can use an Inspire. And if you do that on your blue Inspire, it will do all that work and just reduce it for you. MCAs, you can use anything. As far as I know, you can use a CAS. So you might want to get used to the CAS, because you're going to be taking the MCAs. Some of you will, juniors and juniors, you're going to take it this year. So you might want to get used to it, because it takes at least the arithmetic and that sort of thing, and even some of the algebra out, a lot of it out of it. But then you still have the hard part. You still have to read the question and see what's happening. And I could multiply all that out. And we could take our calculator and do that. Let's do that, just to show you how miserable it is. Now, that's not quite true, because my Smart View, my TI-84 will do this for me. Should reduce it if I'm in the right mode. But I'm going to actually do this separately. Sorry, it takes a little second. And make this the large screen, and we're going to go over here. And there we go. A little bit further. And I'm just going to multiply those out. I'm going to quit. So it's 2 times 9 times 6 times 5. 540. Yeah, that's okay. Then I'm going to multiply this other one. And it's 3 times 20, which I know is 60, times 7, which is 420. And I know what that is, times 18. Okay, 7560. I don't know about you, but I don't want to reduce that. Okay, no, they have zeros, so I can cross the zeros out. So now we're looking at 54 over 766. You know what? And I know it 2 goes in, and I could work it out. But that's a lot of work. So if I reduce before I multiply, it's a lot easier. And we can let the calculator check our work. So I wouldn't mind you using the calculator to check your work. You know, and then to do the arithmetic as well. Let's start with the 2. Because there are even numbers in this denominator. 2 will divide into 2 how many times, guys? So I put a 1 there. Now I'm going to divide 2 into the denominator somewhere. You want to go 2 into 20? Yeah. How many times? What's left? 2 into 20 goes how many times? 2 divided into 20. Yeah, good. Okay. I can't do anything more with the 1. Okay, Andrew, what about 3 and 9? Can I divide that? Yeah, 3 goes into 3 how many times? 1 and goes into 9 3 times. And this is the thing you have to be able to do on the ACT. It might overflow your calculator. That's another problem. Okay, that one's done. That's 1. How about the 3? Anything, does 3 go into any of these numbers down here? Evenly? Does 3 go into 7 evenly? No, it doesn't go in evenly. How about 3 into 18? 3 into 18 goes how many times? Now, how many times does 3 go into 18? 6. So 3 goes into 3 once, goes into 18 6 times. It's kind of like a puzzle. Because now look, I got a 6 and a 6. Can I cross those out? Sure, why not? 6 goes into 6 once, 6 goes into 6 once. You should be thinking that way when you get into the algebra. You're going to have to be remembering those ones there. Anything else? I have a 5 here. Does it divide into 7 or 10? 5 goes into 5 once. It goes into 7. Not evenly. What about 10? 5 times what is 10? 2. Now, it's a little bit of a mess, but we're going to multiply all our numbers together. 1 times 1 times 1 times 1. So the numerator is 1. And I'm going to go 1 times 2 times 7 What's 2 times 7? 14. That's 1 here. To go from 54.76 to 114 is not easy. I can do it. I don't need a calculator to do it. I didn't need a calculator to do that. It's just simple. So let's go ahead and put that into my calculator. And I want 54 divided by 76. Now, I don't know if I'm in fraction mode. Here's the problem. You have to know how to change the mode to be in fraction mode. It didn't work. Let's see if we can do this. I'm going to take that answer, and I want to change it to a fraction. Oops, that's not what I want. Alpha. Yeah, I didn't have that. Okay, second quit. Okay, now I'm going to go alpha. Fraction doesn't. Let's try 4. Let's see if it works. I don't know if it will. It did. So I get 1 fraction. But if you don't have a fraction calculator, you're in trouble, aren't you? You're going to have to be able to do it by hand. So I think, do we need more examples of how to divide? Let's get to the worksheet, and we can do a couple of these together. There's plenty of room to show your work. Then tomorrow, we'll talk about what do we do with mixed numbers. How do we multiply and divide with those? You know, and I've got more in the worksheet. Maybe we'll use those for tomorrow on your packet. So this is just like multiplying. Some of you are going to, because you're doing so many of these, will look at it and say, well, here's the pattern. I can just do this and canceling, or this and multiplying. I want you to show multiplying by the reciprocal. Because when you get out into the real world, you're not going to have, 12 and 12, 24 of them that are all identical. It's not going to work that way. So if you don't get in the habit of multiplying by the reciprocal when you get out in the real world, you're going to go, oh, what do I do again? I don't remember what I do. Pardon? Oh, yeah, you have to go back? Sure. And most of these probably can't be reduced. Now, I'm not going to be able to eyeball this like I could the other one. Not as easily. And then I'm going to test this to see if it sounds good. But I actually see. So when you do the first one, you're going to do 1/8, and then you're going to multiply by 3/1. That's how. Always think about why. Nine can be reduced. And you can check with a calculator if you want. Can I go to a clean slot? Well, I can slide. Okay, so number 1 is 1/8 divided by 1/3. You will rewrite it as 1/8, and then you're going to make it times 3/1. And then you're going to give me the answer, which is 3/8. Okay, so I want to see the work. And if you can reduce, you can reduce. So let's look at question 9. It's 1/5. Oh, and by the way, which one do we reciprocal? The first one or the second one? I remember teaching that. Students struggle with that. It's the second one. It's divided by 8/15. So the 1/5 is really in the numerator. So this is going to be times 15/8. Now I could multiply that out and get 15/40ths, but I need to reduce it. Let's reduce it before that. So 5 goes into 15. How many times? 5 goes into 5 once. Into 15 how many times? 3. So the answer is 3/8. Otherwise I have to do this. It's the same thing divided by 5 over 5. It's exactly the same thing. The difference is I recognize I have a 5 and 15 and they're divisible, and I say, let me do that before I multiply, because that's possible. And I give you the rest of the time to work and get the other worksheet into me if you didn't. I have them corrected. There's yours. And we'll do both sides of these. And I don't know, they have like 10 pages. Then tomorrow we'll do mixed numbers. Basically what I want you to know for dividing is that you multiply it by the reciprocal. Be nice if you knew why. And when you multiply fractions, that if you have, in general, if you have A over B times C over D, you just multiply the numerators, so it's A times C over B times D. And you may be saying, oh, this is so easy. Honestly, I teach this again in calculus because they forget about it. So they don't like that. So I can give you a quick example. They have to multiply the sine of x over 1 times 1 over the cosine of x. You don't have to worry about what they are. You just multiply these guys. Sine of x over cosine of x. They need to recognize that these are the same things. I just have letters now. But it still doesn't matter, because algebra is just arithmetic with letters. That's all it is. So I'll give you a chance to do that. I'm going to test my recording and see if there's any sound. All my recordings before.